Hello, everyone. Welcome to your first lesson of Term 5. Okay, we are going to spend this lesson looking at solving equations with fractions mainly. There are a few other types. In this warm-up, really, I just want to see what you can do so that you can self-assess. Please, can you pause the video now and complete the warm-up? And then when you're finished, you can press play and I will go through the answers with you. So please pause now. Okay, guys, thank you for completing those. Let's just get this set up for you. So I'm going to split screen so that we can see both. Hold on. Let's get that up there. Okay. And we will go through the answers together. Lovely. Okay, so for our first question, they asked us to write down the size of each angle labeled with a letter. Right, well, first of all, I do think it's useful to have diagrams, okay, when you answer questions. I'm not sure if you drew them yourselves, but I'm going to draw them so that we can talk about them a bit more easily. Okay, first thing to point out is that these arrows tell us that these lines are parallel. Okay, this angle here is 100 degrees. Okay, and I'm hoping you can see that this angle is the same as this angle here. Okay, we call those alternate angles, and they've said that this is angle G. So if they're the same as each other, that would be 100 degrees. And our reason is that they are alternate angles. Okay, for part B, similar situation, but a slightly different relationship. So we've got two parallel lines, okay, and a line going through them. They've told us that this is 70 degrees, okay, and in this case, this angle here is the same as that angle there. I don't know if you can imagine it, but if I lifted this or moved that line so that it went onto here, if I take the corner of this, okay, I could move that so that it moves there. They are the same, and we call them corresponding angles. So this was angle B, and B is equal to 70 degrees. And our reason is that they are corresponding angles. Okay, so once again, the point of these warm-ups is to see what we know in the background. Okay, so hopefully that was a nice review for you about your angle facts. We move on to question 2. And in question 2, it says, write an expression for the perimeter of each shape. Now remember, an expression is not an equation, so we should not have an equal sign. So we don't write P equals for perimeter equals, we just write the expression for the perimeter. And perimeter, while I'm getting this drawn, is where we add up all the sides. So if I have a 7 and an X, remember this is a rectangle, so this side will also be X, and this will be 7. If I add up the sides, I have X plus another X plus 7 plus another 7, which we should know is 2x plus 14. X's are separate than numbers by themselves or constants by themselves, okay? So 2x plus 14 is our final answer there. That was part A. For part B, they've given us a regular. Now, this is not going to be to scale probably, okay? I'll do my best. That's decent. I don't quite look the same. There we go. Right. What they should have done is tell you by using markers that those sides were the same as each other, okay? But we can tell by the diagram that they are. So we've got y being one length. Since it's regular, all of those lengths are the same. And for this one, for the expression, I mean, I could write out y plus y plus y plus y plus y, okay? But we should all recognize that that is 5y. So 5y is our final answer. Okay, so for question 3, A, we are now solving equations. So we've got x minus 7 is equal to 15 first. We have to remember that we do the same to both sides and always the opposite when we are rearranging in an equation. Okay, here I've got take away 7, but I'd like the x to be the subject, so I need x to be by itself. The opposite of minus 7 is to add 7. So we add 7 to both sides, and that gives us x is equal to 22. Right, so for part B, we have 5y equals 30. Let's remember that 5y actually means 5 times y. So the opposite of multiplying is to divide. So we divide both sides by 5. Now, some of us would just say divide by 5 on the sides with a division sign. I recommend you do it as a fraction because then you can very clearly see that the 5's cancel out and 30 divided by 5 is 6. So y is equal to 6. Part C, we have z over 3 is equal to 6. Z over 3 means divide. So the opposite would be to multiply. So we multiply by 3, and that gives us z equals 18. 6 times 3 is 18. For part D, we have w over 2 equals negative 4. Okay, so again, the opposite of division is to multiply times 2, and we get w is equal to negative 4 times 2, which is negative 8. Please keep track of your negatives. For part E, let's do that one next. 2a minus 5 equals 1. So far, we've had to do one step. For this one, we have to do 2 steps. And we're going to do adding and subtracting before we do multiplying and dividing when we're solving because we're going in reverse, okay? So we're going to add 5 to both sides, and that gives us 2a is equal to 1 plus 5, which is 6. And we can then divide by 2, which gives us a is equal to 3. For part F, we have 4b plus 16 equals 8. Okay, so again, we're going to add or subtract first, positive 16. So we're taking away 16 from both sides, leaving us with 4b is equal to 8 take away 16 is negative 8. We then divide by 4. And we get b is equal to negative 2. 8 divided by 4 is 2, so therefore negative 8 divided by 4 is negative 2. Okay, part G, we have 2c minus 5 is equal to 4. Okay, so we're going to add 5 to both sides. Let's use the different color to help you. There we go. And we get 2c is equal to 9. Okay, we then divide by 2. And that gives us c is equal to 9 over 2. Now 2 goes into 9 4 times with a remainder of 1. So that's 4.5, and I'm perfectly happy since it's just a half for you to write 4.5 as well. Okay, so either of those final answers are fine. It's technically still correct if you wrote 9 over 2. It's just not fully simplified. And h, we have 3 and then times d plus 4 equals 45. Now, there are two ways I could approach this question. I have a bracket. I can divide by 3 right away, and that will cancel out the 3, and then I only have the d plus 4 left. Some of you like to expand the bracket first and then solve. The quickest way, and the one that makes most sense really mathematically, is to divide by 3 first. So that's how I'm going to do this with you. We're going to divide by 3. That is the opposite of multiplying. And remember that a number next to something in a bracket means we're multiplying. So 3 divided by 3, that cancels out, leaving us with d plus 4 is equal to 45 divided by 3, which is 15. Now we can take away the 4, leaving us with d is equal to 11, which is our final answer. Okay? All right, well done, guys. Right, so we're going to move to looking at a couple of examples together that involve fractions and solving. Okay? And we're going to start with this first example here. This is actually the same as the first question you're going to do, okay? So you'll be able to repeat the process with the same question just to make it a bit easier for you. And when we have a fraction, we actually need to get rid of the fraction first, which means we need to not have that denominator. Now, since this means divide by 2, the opposite would be to multiply by 2. Okay, which is something we've already done in the previous warm-up questions. Now, if I multiply this by 2, it cancels out that denominator, leaving us just with 5x. Okay, so we get 5x is equal to 15 times 2, which is 30. Now, just so that I'm very clear there, once again, if I did 2 times 5x over 2, that is the same as 2 over 1 times 5x over 2, which means we would do 2 times 5x, which is 10x, over 1 times 2, which is 2. Now, if I divide that by 2, I get 5x. Now, you don't have to show all that work every time. You just need to remember that when you multiply something by the number in the denominator will cancel out. Okay? We also have to make sure that we multiply both sides by the 2. Otherwise, we change the value of everything, and we can't do that. All right? So if we're multiplying by 2 here to get rid of that fraction, we have to also multiply the right-hand side by 2. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense, and that gives us 5x equals 30. Excuse me. Okay, so we've got 5x equals 30. We're now going to divide by 5, which is the opposite of multiplication, and that is going to cancel out and give us x is equal to 6, because 30 divided by 5 is 6. Okay, now, that gave us a whole value or a whole number as our answer. We do have questions where we get fractions as our answers. So for this one, we know that the opposite of multiplying by 3 is to divide by 3. And when I do that, I end up getting y equals 2/3. Now, we're not going to change that to a decimal because it would be 0.66666 recurring. And this is more exact. So we're going to leave that as a fraction for our final answer, okay, of 2/3. When we move to this next question, okay, first thing we need to do is take away the 9 from both sides, leaving us with 5y is equal to -2. 7 minus 9 is -2. We can then divide by 5. That cancels out, and we get y is equal to -2 over 5. Okay, lovely. Right, so let me make this full screen again. What you're going to do now is pause the video and try question 4. Okay, question 4a I've already done with you as an example, our example 1, but do it again just so that you're clear. It's helping you by showing the steps. Okay, and then try B, C, and D. All right, so pause the video and try those, please. Okay, guys, thank you for doing those. Let's just show you how we got to those answers so that you're happy with that question. Split screen that for you. There we go. Lovely. Okay. All right. So the answer to 4A we've already done, so I'm not going to repeat that one. Let's look at part B. All right. So in part B, we had 3x over 2 equals 12. Okay. We're going to multiply both sides by 2 so that we can get rid of that denominator, and that gives us 3x is equal to 24. We can then divide both sides by 3, which will give us x is equal to 8. Okay, and that is our final answer. For part C, we had 2x over 3 is equal to 12. Okay, here we're multiplying by 3 to remove the denominator, and that gives us 2x is equal to 36. 12 times 3 is 36. We can then divide by the 2, and that gives us x is equal to 36 divided by 2, which is 18. Okay, and finally for part D, we have 8x over 3 is equal to negative 16. First thing, we multiply by 3. Now, you might want to do this on the side. Okay, so 16 times 3. 3 times 6 is 18. Okay, carry the 1. 3 times 1 is 3, plus the 1 is 4. But, of course, it's negative, so that will be negative. So that gives us 8x equals negative 48. Okay. Then we can divide everything by 8. Okay, and negative 48 divided by 8 is negative 6. So that is your final answer there. Well done. Okay, right, I'd now like you to try question 5, please. So you need to pause the video now and try the questions in number 5. And then we're going to go through the answers together. So please pause. Okay, guys, well done. Let's now look at the answers to question 5 together. Okay, so in question 5a, we had 5y is equal to 2. Okay, we needed to divide both sides by 5, and that gave us y is equal to 2/5. Final answer. Okay, for part B, we had 3y equals 7. We divide both sides by 3, and that will cancel out and give us y is equal to 7 over 3. That is correct, but don't forget 3 goes into 7 twice with a remainder of 1. So we can write that as 2 1/3. Okay. Right, so for part C, we had 4y plus 5 is equal to 8. Here we first take away the 5, which gives us 4y is equal to 3. We can then divide by 4, which gives us, when those cancel out, y is equal to 3/4. Okay. For part D, we had 3y minus 5 is equal to negative 3. We're going to add the 5 to both sides. And that gives us 3y is equal to 2, because -3, let's say you started at -3 degrees and you added 5 degrees. 3 degrees would take you to 0. Another 2 degrees would take you to 2. Okay, so when you've got adding and subtracting with negatives, you can think of temperature to help you. -3 plus 5 gives us 2. We can then divide both sides by 3. Okay, that cancels out, and we get y is equal to 2/3, which we're going to leave as a fraction as well. Okay, and then part E, we had 6y plus 10 is equal to 7. First, we take away the 10. That gives us 6y is equal to -3. Okay, and then we divide by 6. And that gives us, when those cancel out, y equals -3/6. I need you to remember to simplify fractions where you can. Both the numerator and the denominator divide by 3, and that leaves us with -1/2. Okay? And that brings us to our last one, which is part F, which is 4y minus 2 is equal to 3. Okay, so we're going to add 2 to both sides, and that's going to give us 4y is equal to 5. You can then divide by 4, leaving you with y is equal to 5/4. But of course, we need to make that into a mixed number. 4 goes into 5 once, with a remainder of 1/4. And we get 1 1/4. Lovely. Okay, so let's have you do the next question now. Okay, so for question 6, can you now pause the video and try all of question 6? Okay, thank you for completing question 6. Let's take a look at the answers together. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Hold on. Need to split screen that for you. There we go. Lovely. Now, if we look at 6a, we have 10x is equal to 9. Okay, so here we are dividing both sides by 10. Those cancel out, and we get x equals 9/10. Okay, for part B, we have 5x equals 3. Okay, now we need to read carefully. This one said to write your solutions as a decimal, so let's just add here, sorry, apologies, that is 0.9. Okay, 9/10 is 0.9. Okay, here we have 5x is equal to 3. We're going to divide both sides by 5. Those cancel out, and we get x equals 3/5. Okay, if that's a bit tricky to make a decimal, then we can always make it over 10, which is a lot easier, by multiplying by 2. So we know that x is equal to 6/10, which is equal to 0.6. Okay, so that's A and B done. Let's look at C. So for C, we have 4x is equal to -3. We're going to divide by 4. So x is equal to -3/4. Well, 3/4 is 0.75, but in this case, it will be -0.75. For part D, we have 6x plus 7 is equal to 10. We're going to take away the 7 from both sides. 6x is equal to 3. We are then going to divide both sides by 6, which means that x is equal to 3/6, or 1/2. But our final answer needs to be 0.5 because we've been asked for the decimal version. Okay, and for part E, we had 4x minus 7 equals negative 1. Here we are going to add 7 to both sides, giving us 4x equals 6. We can then divide by 4. Those cancel out, and we get x is equal to 6 over 4, which if we divide by 2 becomes 3 over 2, which is 1.5. However, we want our final answer to be 1.5 because that's the decimal version. Okay. And finally, for part F, we have 5x plus 1 is equal to 9. Okay, we're going to take away the 1 from both sides, and that gives us 5x is equal to 8. If we then divide by 5, this gives us, cancel that out, x is equal to 8 over 5. Now, again with decimals, it's a bit easier to be over 10, so let's change this to 16 over 10, which means our final answer is 1.6 as a decimal. Okay, excellent, well done. Right, so this brings us to the next bit of the lesson, and this is the last new material for this lesson. And this involves a different set of fraction solving questions. Okay, so let me just go back to here. There we go, we're on this slide now. Okay, I'm going to make this full screen so we've got a little bit more space and you can see it a bit more clearly. Okay, so here we have a two-step solving question, okay, in which first we're going to take away the 5. So minus 5, and that will give us x over 3 is equal to 2. Now you need to get rid of the denominator, so the opposite of dividing is to multiply. So we multiply both sides by 3. And on the left, that leaves us with just x is equal to 2 times 3, which is 6. Okay, so that's the first new type involving a fraction, where we have something over a number, okay, plus or minus another number is equal to another number. We are going to first add or subtract so that we can get rid of the separate integer here, okay, and then at that point, we can multiply to get rid of our denominator so that x is then the subject. Okay, so our second example here for the second bit is x plus 2 over 5 is equal to 3. Okay, here the x plus 2 is in the numerator, so I actually first have to get rid of the denominator. And the way we do that, again, is to multiply by the denominator, which is 5. That leaves us with just the numerator of x plus 2 is equal to 3 times 5, which is 15. Okay. We then take away the 2, and we are left with x is equal 13, which is our final answer. Okay, don't forget you can pause if you need to have more time to write that down. Right, so I now need you to practice the next question. Okay, so for question 7, you now need to pause the video, please, and complete those. We'll then go through it. Pause the video now. Okay, guys, well done. Let's get the visualizer up so that we can go through those together. Okay, good. Right. So for 7a, we had x, over 2 plus 7 is equal to 12. Okay, first things first, we take away the 7, and that gives us x over 2 is equal to 12 minus 7, which is 5. Okay, we are then going to multiply by 2, which gives us x equals 10. Okay, final answer. For part B, we had y over 3 plus 11 equals 13. We're going to take away the 11 first, leaving us with y over 3 is equal to 2. And then we will multiply by 3, which will give us y is equal to 2 times 3, or 6. Okay, for part C, we had a over 5 minus 2 is equal to 1. So we add 2 to both sides first, which gives us a over 5 is equal to 3. We then multiply by the 5, which gives us a equals 15. For part D, we have b over 4 plus 20 equals 18. We then take away the 20, and this gives us b over 4 equals negative 2. 18 minus 20 is negative 2. We then multiply by the 4, and this gives us b is equal to negative 2 times 4, which is negative 8. Okay, and last two, we have part E, which is c over 6 minus 9 is equal to negative 3. We are first going to add 9 to both sides, which gives us c over 6 is equal to, now negative 3 plus 9 is 6. So we then multiply by the denominator of 6, and we get c is equal to 36, which is 6 times 6. And finally, for part F, we have d over 2 plus the 3 is equal to 3.5. We are going to take away the 3, and that is going to give us d over 2 is equal to 0.5. We then multiply by 2, and 2 halves make a whole, so d is equal to 1. Okay, excellent work. Okay, so one more question I need you to do, guys, okay, to finish the lesson off. All right, so well done on question 7. All right, so you've got part A you don't need to do because I did that with you as an example, okay. Part B, C, and D I do need you to do now, okay, so please pause the video and complete those. Okay, well done, guys. All right, really proud of you for all the focus. Let's do this last section and make sure you understood the answers, okay? All right, here we go. So for 8 part B, we had x plus 2 over 3 equals 4. So the first thing here is to remove that denominator by multiplying by 3, both sides, giving us x plus 2 is equal to 4 times 3, which is 12. We then take away the 2, and that gives us x is equal to 10 as our final answer. Okay, for part C, we had x minus 2 over 3 is equal to 4. First step was to multiply by 3, giving us x minus 2 equals 12. We then add the 2 to both sides, giving us x is equal to 14. Well done. And our very last one, part D, we had x plus 7 over 5 is equal to negative 2. So we multiply by 5 both sides, and that gives us x plus 7 is equal to negative 10. Okay, and then we're going to take away the 7 from both sides. Now careful here, if I'm at negative 10 degrees and I drop another 7 degrees, it's more negative. Okay, so we get x equals negative 17 as our final answer. All right, well, that is it for this lesson. You've done superbly well. Remember, you can replay any part of the video you need to, go back, take a few notes if you need to, or to try the questions again if you struggled a bit. But really, really proud of you, and well done today. Okay, hope you guys take care and have a really good rest of the day.